What's up, everybody? Jaxxsin here. Today I got a quick critique and review of Dark Souls 3. Now, the reason this is going to be a quick review is because, honestly, I've got tons of footage, but I don't know how far along people are, so I'm going to limit kind of like the first half of this video to earlier footage, maybe a couple of scenes that, are in, like, kind of obscure places. They won't really ruin it for you, but there are going to be a couple of boss spoilers here. I'm going to talk about a couple of the bosses as examples for, part of what I'm talking about that I enjoyed about the game. So there's going to be a couple of boss fights, no major story bosses, but a couple of bosses. So one who's fairly early on, one who's a little later. Okay, jumping right into this. Just full disclosure, guys, I've said this many times before, but just in case you're new to this, to me, and like hearing my opinions and shit, I honestly have never cared for Dark Souls. I enjoy the FromSoft games. I enjoyed Demon Souls. I enjoyed fucking Bloodborne, the shit out of Bloodborne. I loved the shit out of Bloodborne. Okay, now Dark Souls 1, I made it about halfway through, and I said, fuck this, dude. Like, honestly, I mean, I had the option to co-op it, but really for me, in that instance, it was the frames that was killing it for me, you know what I mean? Like, I was battling the frames more than I was battling bosses, and it was on my PlayStation 3, and I'm sure it's a totally different experience if you're gonna get that bitch running, like, faster, But, I mean, just some areas of that game just killed it for me about halfway through, where I couldn't deal with it. It was making my head hurt, and to be fair, this is the thing, to be fair to the games, they are massive, and they are open, and, like, you can go from one area to the end if you've unlocked everything. Like, you can go without any load times, and you can go see the entire world, right? So this is a huge, massive game. There's a lot of fucking ground to load, a lot of textures, shit like that. So it makes sense that those earlier games were a problem. The reason I personally never liked them, okay, and this goes down to it, and honestly, there's examples of it in this game as well, and that goes to my critique of this game, and what I felt like, I don't know, like, Dark Souls is cheap, okay? There's difficult, there's challenging, and then there's just straight up cheap, okay? Dark Souls is fucking cheap. If you're gonna argue with me that any of the Dark Souls games are not cheap, I will point to areas, specific areas that I know of, and I can say that's fucking cheap. Right? They know you going in there, you are beyond outmatched, right? And that's the appeal to these games, and I understand it. People love that brutal difficulty, right? I never liked it because I never felt like it was difficulty so much as it was just the developers trolling the fuck out of me, right? Now, Bloodborne caught my eye a little bit different, faster combat, sped up shit like that. So, of course, I was like, oh, fuck yeah, it's everything I like about FromSoft, with, like, what appears to be things I don't like removed. And I will say that Bloodborne had a lot of the trolliness removed. Was it an easy game? Fuck no. It wasn't easy. But it was reasonable. The areas weren't set up to just fucking rape your face over and over again. I mean, there's like 3 fucking poison swamps in Dark Souls 3, right? So, like, Dark Souls is very trolly. Okay? And I never enjoyed that. This game is no different, okay? It's no different. These areas are fucking insanely gorgeous, alright? They're just gorgeous. Everything in this game looks so good. And there's plenty of I was fortunate enough to play this next to my friend Cockalorum. He was like literally right beside me opening night. We were fucking jamming it, And I was able to hear his opinions on it as well. And I say fortunate because as someone who's never really given a shit about Dark Souls, you know what I mean? Then I'm not really in a place to critique and review this game as far as, like, is it giving the fans what they want as far as story? Is it, because, like, as far as the story goes, I just know what I personally have played of and what my friend Cock has told me. So, to me, it's like, am I, equipped to go into this situation in this critique and review and, say, well, they did this, they did this, they did this. Yeah, and now I am, because like I said, he's a massive fan. He's very critical-minded like I am. So even, he's not blinded by fanboyness, like he sees things, he will still enjoy something even because he's a fan of it, but he's not going to be, not critiquing it or saying this is stupid, you know what I mean? And even he was like, some of these areas, dude, some of these fucking areas. So, like, that's where I can confidently say that. Now, I can confidently say that the environments are fucking gorgeous, not only just from my own 2 eyes, but also through the eyes of my friend Cockaloris. he says, dude, this is just like, he's like, this is blending everything that I love about the series into one thing. And he was blown away. He would find items and he would read a little bit of lore and he would just be like, whoa, dude, they just fucking answered a question that I've had since Dark Souls 1 that was just never answered. And he's like, they answered it in this item. And he's like, that's so fucking cool. And like, it was very cool to experience his joy with how well FromSoft has wrapped this series up. And they did. They have wrapped this up excellently, okay? And I mean, my only critique with the overall experience, like I said, is that it felt very trolly in the areas. The bosses, this is my critique with the bosses. I felt like the bosses that were easy were a little too easy. And then the bosses that were hard were really, really fucking hard. Now, this is the part where I'm going to start getting into a little bit more spoilers, so if you fucking haven't played this game, you don't want those, like, get out of here. I'm going to talk about bosses for a minute, and of course that's going to be spoiling shit. I'm just going to mention the Pontiff Solivan. Alright, I'm not going to put footage of him in here, but the Pontiff Solivan is a fucking bitch, dude. I hate that boss. Okay, I sat there and tried to fucking kill this boss by myself for 4 hours, and it felt different than when I had, like, for instance, it took me 8 hours to kill the Defiled Chalice Amygdala by myself. Like, it took me 8 hours because every hit she hit me with, at the time, it was a destined one-shot. Like, I was going to die, so I literally had to get this fight down to where I didn't get hit once, but it didn't feel the same as the Pontiff Solivan fight. And that's the thing about Bloodborne, and I don't know, I just feel like the bosses in Bloodborne, they felt like it was your own shortcoming or something that you had done. But in Dark Souls, it's like, fuck that, dude. Like, you are doing everything possible, everything you want, you can possibly do. And maybe this motherfucker's just gonna randomly decide to spam the same fucking attack over and over again, completely nullifying any kind of damage that you could possibly hope to do to this boss. And that was the situation I ran in with the Pontiff Solivan. That was when I said, I'm done fucking soloing this game. I'm loving this game. I'm loving the way it looks. I'm loving the lore. I mean, the Firelink Shrine, dude, like the way that felt like straight up, that felt like Demon Souls, the hub in Demon Souls. That's what it felt like to me. And like, there was areas that felt like Demon Souls, and there was like, it was just, you could tell that they had done a very good job. But my only beef is I felt like a little more thought could have went into these bosses to make them less like wah, like just a pushover, and less of a fucking just like fist up your anus of a, like that's how just infuriating and uncomfortable these situations were with these bosses. Second I went in there with my brother and my friend Cockaloris, one-shotted the motherfucker, just one-shotted him. We went in and we like, and halfway through my buddy Caucus had to go back to works and stuff. Me and my little brother, we finished the game, one-shotted every boss except for I'm not going to mention him, but there was one. If you do things in the order I did, it was the second to the final boss before you can actually reach the ending. But we banged them all. We banged the one boss, you know what I mean? Like and that felt to me like that was more fun to me. Like I felt more enjoyment, and it wasn't like when I was playing Bloodborne solo, when I was playing Dark Souls 3 solo, or like even Dark Souls 2 solo, or even Dark Souls 1 solo. Like Bloodborne, it felt like I wanted to beat the boss. Like I wanted to beat him. I wanted to get the gratification out of beating him. In Dark Souls, it was almost like, well, I'm glad he didn't just fucking randomly spam that one attack. Okay? Now that aside, the bosses are fucking awesome. Every single cutscene that opens every single boss is fucking amazing. Like blood just curdling music. Like the kind of just chill you to your bones while you're in this boss fight and intimidate you to the point where you're gonna mess up, you're gonna have problems. One such boss is like Wolnir, and he's a little bit easier. He's not that big of, bad of a boss, but he's also a massive boss, and just his size alone, just completely makes you feel weak and powerless, and then like the music kicks in and it starts to pick up, and you just feel like, oh my god, there's nothing I can do to this guy, and you're hitting him and there's just no damage being done, you know what I mean? Finally that bracelet breaks, and you're like, oh, you know what I mean, I gotta take out his bling. But you know, these bosses are massive. The music is fucking amazing. It suits every boss. The design on the boss is amazing. You know, I enjoyed all the bosses, and I killed all of them, and I enjoyed every single one of them. You know, I enjoyed especially being able to have a little help doing them. You know, if that makes me a casual whatever, like, I'm just saying, from my personal standpoint, I got more satisfaction in sitting there for 4 hours fighting a boss in Bloodborne than I did in Dark Souls. In Dark Souls, all of them. This goes across the board. Like, the bosses, some of those bosses, like, I just always felt like they teetered on this edge of being too easy or just incredibly unreasonably hard. And they kept that trend. But if you're playing this with friends, it makes it a lot easier. It almost feels like that's what they had in mind, which pisses me off because that's kind of how the Bloodborne DLC felt. Which, you know, whatever, I enjoy co-op, but I'd like to beat the game myself because I have that in my mind that like, I want to do it by myself. But at the same time, I got no pride when it comes to Dark Souls. I'll say, fuck this trolley bullshit, and I will rage quit it. I'll walk away and never feel bad about the decision. But if I have an opportunity to play with my friends, my brother, I'm going to do it. And that's what I did, okay? Another boss that I really enjoyed in here, and this is going to wrap it up for me, but this is just kind of on a scale of how big these bosses are, and that was the rotted tree in the undead village. I can't remember the exact name right now, but that boss, just this massive tree that you gotta hit, right, like in the soft spots, and like break them open, and that's the only way you can kill him. And halfway through the fight, he just like rips a hole through the ground and drops you down, and it's fucking insane. And it's just, you know, that was the moment I feel like that was the moment when I fell in love with this game. Like, and I knew that like I could deal with the trolliness. I could deal with it. I just wanted to see this game through to the end. And I never really particularly had that with any other game. Kind of with Dark Souls 2, but I'd still say that Dark Souls 2 I probably wouldn't have quit, or I probably wouldn't have beaten on my own. Now, I soloed the game, yes, but I had, you know, a viewer on my Twitch telling me exactly where I needed to go, you know, in what order I should do the bosses, and I still skipped several bosses. I was like, dude, I don't care, like, fuck this game, dude. I was skipping areas, there was just areas I was running through. And I felt like Dark Souls 3 did that too. Like, it made these areas, some of these areas is just like, don't kill anything, just run through. And I understand that there's areas like that that carry throughout the series. I wish they would have veered away from that. I mean, I don't know. Short of going like Pyromancer or Sorcerer, like some of these areas, if you're pure straight melee, like, you're fucked. I mean, I deleted my warrior and I created a wizard for that reason. Or, I mean, a pyromancer for that reason. It actually started out as a knight and ended up being a knight pyromancer / priest / paladin, whatever you don't want to call it in Dark Souls. I was a man of the cloth, but I was a lady of the cloth. That's right, because I was like, well, since my character's getting fucked like a bitch, I might as well look the part. I'm sorry, that's an awful thing to say, and I know, but you gotta understand, in the moment, I had just, like, rage quit the Pontiff Sullivan, and I was just starting a new character, and I was so bitter, but she ended up being really fun, and they have some very excellent-looking female armor in it, so I made her look like this badass witch by the end, with, like, she had, like, the cloth headpiece on that kind of, like, it was awesome. I enjoyed her. I enjoyed my character. I started to, like, fucking, you know, once my character started to get with the groove and the swing, it made it a lot better. Anyway, guys, that's it for me. Those are my thoughts and opinions. Told you it'd be a quickie. Let me know what you guys thought. You know, how do you guys rate it? If you're like, because you're probably, you know, more of a hardcore Souls guy than me. And like, so where do you rate this on the list of Souls? Like, is it the best one? Is it, you know, is it like, you know, a little better? Or is it just like a perfect addition to where the set feels complete? I don't know, you guys let me know. I feel like it's the latter. Like, it just feels like it completes everything in a very nice and beautiful way. It gives everyone everything they wanted out of the game. Looks gorgeous. Bosses are good. Bosses are good looking. It just feels complete to me. It feels like a good note to end on. Anyway, that's it for me, Jaxxsin. I'm out of here. Love you guys. Take care. Keep being fucking awesome.